or direct sales industry. So those are two interchangeable phrases. You can use them, they mean the same thing. But there is a huge amount of growth. You've got to realize that what you are a part of is moving remarkably. From 2015 to 2018, growth year on year on year. And the important thing to remember, we're talking about billions of dollars in growth here, is that these figures are only up to 2018 because 2019's figures only come out now at the end of this month, and we'll only see 2020s, and I believe 2020 will be a benchmark year for network marketing. We'll chat a little bit about that in the second part of this talk. The next thing that I want to share with you is that there are millions upon millions of people actively joining these types of opportunities across the planet in the industry every single day, every single week, every single year. And so, growing from 183 billion US dollars to 192 billion US dollars over 4 years, going from 104 to 118 million people in 4 years, you can see the industry is gaining some momentum. And I believe that we are not yet at the full big curve that we'll have of industry growth, because there is a new generation of companies coming out that are doing things the right way that I believe will see exponential growth. Perspective, for sure. So that excuse of, well, I don't know anybody that'll get involved. Well, I don't agree with you, because I could show you 2 million people that got involved between. There are huge amounts of growth, but there is still only 118 million people involved in our industry out of 7.5 billion. So if you're ever looking for an opportunity that was open and ripe, well, you've got it right in front of you. The other interesting thing is that this industry, which was predominantly women in the 80s and 90s, is now starting to see more and more men attracted. And I believe that this coronavirus time that we're in right now will increase that amount, because people are looking at our industry in a dramatic way. But the question you've got to ask yourself is, why are there 74% women and 26% men in our industry? And it's for one reason. And I believe it's this. Well, my wife would probably say it's because men are more stubborn and less open to opportunity. And I suppose that could be it. But this is why I believe that there are more women. I believe it's because women look at this industry and they see an industry that pays them the same as any man based on the work that they do. And I know that a lot of you may be living in environments where maybe your gender does not disqualify you from equal pay. But what I do know is that the large majority of people on the planet, women, they're suffering this every single day, where they're underpaid for doing the same amount of work, the same quality of work. And that is what makes this a unique opportunity. You see, I will never, ever sit down and show somebody the opportunity of the network marketing business without, especially if they're a lady, without talking through this thing of equal pay. You see, friends, what I love about it is, if you're a woman and you put in and you partner with an ultimate kit, you get the same amount of credits as I do. Man, I could be the biggest, burliest, most manly man, literally look at animals and they fall over and turn into steak. It doesn't matter. Here, you get paid for what you do, not for who you are. The other thing that you need to understand, and this is something that should help you start to target a little bit more specifically, is the bell curve of ages that you have as the most interaction in our industry. We've got 8% that are between 18 and 24. And the reason why it's so low is because at that point, people really haven't felt the reality of life yet. They're not in the grind of work and those kinds of things. They're still optimistic about life. At 25 to 34, it more than doubles, where we see now 20% of our industry involved, because people are starting to see the reality. 25 to 34, man, you're smack bang in it. But where the rubber hits the road is between 35 and 44 years old. Now, if you're on this call and you're actively building a business, looking for partners to partner with you, you should be targeting men and women, most specifically in the age category of between 35 to 44. Because if that's 26% of our industry, well, that's where you want to be pitching your perfect pitch, because you're going to pick up the 18 to 24s and the 25 to 34s on the other side of the bell curve, but that is where it's really in a sweet spot. 24% are between 45 and 54, and then 22% over 55 years. Now, that's important to understand, that you can never really disqualify somebody or pre-qualify somebody based on age. But when you look at statistics, gender and age tells us a very real story. These are stats of exactly what's happening globally. It's important to be aware of that. So now you have an understanding of the growth of the industry. You have an understanding of how people are getting involved, of the gender split, as well as what is happening from an age perspective. Let's talk about where the big categories of movements of products are. So if you look at this graph right now, you should be you don't have to be a statistician to be able to figure out what the heck is happening here. There are obviously two major trends that work remarkably well. Number one, wellness does 33.2% of our entire industry in sales. Ladies and gentlemen, where does Enzino find themselves? Well, smack bang in the middle of the wellness industry. We're a life sciences company. We have technologies that affect the state of people's wellness. This is a very, very important thing. Want to audit the industry? You want to get involved with the biggest trends. What is one of the other lines that you have at your disposal? Well, it's the skin serum. That's 31.2% of the entire industry. That means that between cosmetics and personal care and wellness, you have more than 60% of the industry. So where do you want to be working? Well, if I'm honest, I don't want to be in clothing and accessories or home care or household goods and durables. I don't want to be in any of the other industries. I want to be in a place that has the biggest attraction for people. So if that is the biggest turnover, logic will tell us that those are the companies that have the biggest sales. And the biggest opportunity will lie in the biggest sales. And so now understanding what's moving the industry from a people and turnover perspective, we understand what's fueling the industry from a category perspective, you're starting to paint a picture of why Enzino fits really well into what we're doing. Now let's talk about the top 10 markets. China and the United States pretty much tied for number one position. That is 35 billion US dollars each, just in direct selling or network marketing. Korea just behind that, Germany, Japan, Brazil, Mexico, France, Malaysia, Taiwan, China. Here is your audit. Okay, how many of these companies am I actively starting to look for prospects in? Am I actively engaging in conversations in? Am I actively looking for top networkers in? How many of these categories am I active in if Enzino is trading in those markets? Now, you know that China is going to be coming at a later stage. How good are you at building relationships with your Chinese community around you, friends? You see, if we look at the data, we've got to realize if these are the major markets, you want to start to work within these markets because you know that if they're turning over that much, societally, I don't even know if that's a word, but from a society perspective, people are probably more open to the opportunity. So now we're starting to use stats towards our favor from a prospecting perspective. That means that 79% of the total global sales for 2018 came from 10 countries. Now, people look at that and they say, oh, well, I don't have a good database in China or the US or Korea or Germany. Do you know what that says to me? My goodness. The rest of the world is only doing 21%. We haven't even scratched the surface of opportunity in our industry yet. As much as we're doing over 190 billion, there is 190 billion times 10 that's still available to us if we start to unlock these other markets that are around us. And then start to take a look from a continental perspective. What's happening in Africa? Well, nothing. I mean, we're here, we're excited about launching in South Africa, but Africa and the Middle East do less than 1%. Friends, how many South Africans do you want to start making friends with as quickly as possible? Because South Africa is your jump into Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Mauritius. I mean, all of these places, Madagascar, all linked to South Africa, and we only do together with the Middle East 1%. You should start thinking to yourself, well, who do I know in the Middle East? Europe, 21%, the Americas, 32%, Asia and the Pacific area, 46%. You've got to see opportunity in the spaces that are the small pieces of the pie. Because friends, what most people look at is people will look at big markets and say, well, America and China are saturated. I look at the other 150 plus markets on the planet and I say, my goodness, opportunity is everywhere in this industry. So that's a little bit of a look at the industry. And I hope your belief in it has grown a little bit because you understand the exact stats of what's happening. But now what I want to do is I want to interface very quickly into this 7 reasons why I believe Enzino is pitched to be the number one company in our industry. Now, let me throw this at you. I'm ambitious. I want to do something significant. I want to do well for my family and I want to do well for others. I want to leave a major, huge dent of legacy when I die one day. And I want to do that through the network marketing industry. I absolutely love this industry. The reason why we're here is because we believe that we are on the vehicle that will be the number one vehicle in our industry, the one that will enable us to achieve our dreams, and the number one company that will enable our team to achieve their dreams. So, what are the things that you need to be aware of? Well, if we take a look at navigating this journey towards the number one company in our industry of network marketing, we have to have a good corporate team. Friends, I would not have joined Zinzino if I hadn't have sat down and spoken to the leaders that I had from the corporate team, from Dog all the way through to the guys managing ops, all the way. I mean, everybody that we got to encounter was extraordinary because I realized that they were exceptional at what they did. And that gave me a great relief that I wouldn't have to do the corporate things. Number one, we tick that requirement of having a corporate team that necessitates growth towards a top 10 and a number one company in our industry. Number two is the field team. I mean, do we have the right team in 1Mondo to be able to succeed? I believe yes, because I've been around a lot of leaders and most of them have been leaders that have been ego-driven, that have been insecure, and people that have been more concerned about their own pockets than their team's pockets. I believe that the leadership team that we have here with 1Mondo, another audit that we did before we joined this company in this industry, was taking a look at who we were partnering with. We knew Dave Ives from many, many years. I mean, Dave, you can't misread Dave. His heart is about this big and on his sleeve. You know exactly who Dave is. But in chatting to Philippa and Marco and Orion and Hilda and meeting the team and chatting to Richie and spending time with the guys at Mastermind events, we realized that this was the team that we wanted to be a part of. You see, friends, it's not about how good you are. It's about how good your team is. The team will make you shine if you help the team shine. And I believe 1Mondo is that team. The third thing is I believe we have a product line that is yet to crack open the category of wellness in turnover in our industry. I believe that evidence-based nutrition, where we talk about, real test-based nutrition as opposed to guest-based nutrition, will be the leverage point for the wellness segment in network marketing. And as a company, we have the forefront of that. And you don't want to miss the opportunity where we are still those individuals who have the early market opportunity, because people are not stupid. There are other companies right now looking at Zinzino, wondering how the heck they're doing what they're doing. And they're going to want to get onto the bandwagon. But we were here first. And with doctors like Dr. Paul Clayton behind it and Mr. Ida behind it as well, these amazing people with great minds, what that does is it gives me belief that our product line will trigger a dramatic result of growth in our industry. The fourth thing is that I believe our compensation plan is one that's fair and weighted effectively. Too many times compensation plans in our industry are weighted towards the top earners. And you'll see big guys come across with big teams and they'll go to big ranks really quickly, but their team never really does well. One of the things that amazed me about the Zinzino compensation plan, after I spent a lot of time going through it, was just how good the comp plan was in getting people to earning up to diamond. You see, for me, it's not about what I can earn as a royal crown or as a black crown or as a president or a one-star global president. Of course, that's important. But friends, if I'm earning 100,000 euros a month and I can't sustain a team of leaders coming through, getting to that 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 euro a month mark, it doesn't matter how good a networker I am. I'm going to do what I've done for the large majority of my networking career, which is keep on throwing people in for the people that are falling out the bottom. Now, I'm not saying for any stretch of the imagination that people won't fall out of the Zinzino business, because a lot of people have more wishbone than they have backbone. But I do believe that this compensation plan is fairly weighted and values new people who have never networked before. It values people who love to build party plan businesses. It values people who love to build product sales businesses, and it values true, real networkers. And I believe that Zinzino is the best kept secret in this amazing industry of network marketing, because only now are top level networkers around the world looking at this company that's been rock solid for 15 years from Scandinavia going, what the heck has happened? And friends, it's only going to be the best kept secret for a little while. Now is your opportunity to leverage and to get the biggest momentum and growth you possibly can. Because friends, if I can be honest with you, I truly believe this. You haven't seen anything yet. I believe that we're going to write a story in this industry that people will not believe, that they will talk about in books, that when they talk about the industry, they will talk about those leaders who led the 1Mondo revolution together with Zinzino Global and did something extraordinary. The next one is global expansion. One of the things that I suppose a lot of people would have looked at Zinzino, 10 years ago and really not been excited about was the fact that they weren't global. And our business model has shifted dramatically that right now you can build a business from your house wearing a suit and a pair of shorts. No one will ever know. You can be dramatic and build a business in 150 countries if you have a microphone, if you have a click. You don't even need a clicker. You need a screen and the ability to be able to chat to people. But we're on a global expansion run. And when you hear things like South Africa opening, India opening, China opening, the leverage into Asia, when you hear about Europe mostly open, the Baltic states on the list to be opened, Africa wide open to be opened, you should be thinking to yourself, my goodness, how do I get ahead of the curve and start helping to make sure that these markets are successful? You see, friends, a company can only do well globally expanding if the leaders take responsibility for the expansion. And I believe we have the opportunity to be able to do that here. You see, when you start to hear about those markets, we were at Globen last year, and we sat down and I remember Doug talking, everybody, Jacob was talking about new markets that were coming, Orion. All I did was just keep on writing down those country names over and over and over. If you want to know where my prospecting has been over the last couple of months, those countries over and over and over, because I want to be a part of the launch into those markets, because I want Zinzino to be successful and Zinzino wants me to be successful. The only way we do that is when we work together to be successful together. The next thing is the customer offering. And I really don't, this is a crazy one, because how has our industry got this far with such a ridiculous understanding of customers? For me, honestly, you may be in Zinzino for 5-10 years now, and you may be comfortable with it. This blew my mind. Friends, we have a customer offering and a compensation plan that supports healthy customer growth like anything. Leverage it and teach the right things. You're going to have top networkers who have never done this before. Be patient with them, because they do want to do it. They just don't know how. But when they get it, the secret to dramatic significance in Zinzino is understanding how to build a network and how to build a customer base and to put those two together. The customer offering will enable us to become a #1 company, and opportunity timing. And I'm going to wrap up with this because I've got literally just tens of seconds left. Friends, we have an opportunity unlike any other. I don't know if you get the fact that what we have is a company with a rock solid foundation that is auditable and verifiable and has every check and balance that you can check. I know, because I've done it and my actuary has done it and my accountant has checked it. I wanted to make sure, but it's like a new launch. People have no clue about evidence-based nutrition. People have no clue what the Balance Oil can do for them. People have no clue yet what Extend Plus, what Viva will do, what Protect Plus will do. We have in our hands an opportunity that I believe entirely with every single bone in my body will put us in a company that within the next 10, 20, 30 years will drive through into the top 50, top 30, top 40, top 20, top 10, into the #1 company position in our industry. And I believe it will not stop there, because we've got to stop thinking just our industry, and we've got to start thinking to ourselves, what can we do in entirety? Friends, I believe that Zinzino has the potential to be one of the biggest companies on the planet if we truly follow what we're doing and see it through. Friends, we have a remarkable industry that you can be proud of. We have a remarkable company that you can be proud of. The big thing about it is each and every one of these things works. The only thing I don't know is if you're going to work in the opportunity in this amazing industry, because if you put those together, you will see dramatic significance. So for me here in South Africa, appreciate the time. I hope that's of value to you, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the speakers and the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kirsten. That was amazing.